Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Question on Citizen TV. My name is Fred Indimuli. We continue the conversation tonight. We're coming to you live from the Garissa University. We're talking about the great hopes and dreams of this institution, where we're going now from here. This is 3 years, 8 days to be exact, from that fateful day when left 148 people dead, 79 others injured, and the community completely shattered. Now, we have to say that this particular session has been made possible by the Kenya Niwajibu Wetu program, which is funded by the USAID. We need to thank them, as well as the University of Garissa that has made this possible. The great students of Garissa University, who I now want to turn to. It is your turn to ask the questions. You've heard what the panelists have said, the Vice Chancellor, the community elder and peace-building expert, as well as a police boss on stage. But do you agree? Do you have questions? Do you need any clarification? This is the time. Now, what we will do, once you get a microphone, you say your name plus the person you want to direct your question to among the 3 panelists that we have on stage. Then you go ahead and ask that question. So we'll start with the gentleman right on the front row. Please stand up, say your name, and then ask your question.
Okay, thank you. My name is... I would like to ask a question to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Ahmed Warfa. And we have seen the management of the university, with the help of the government, not leaving behind the security personnel has done. For example, the construction of perimeter wall and has already been finished. My question is, how far is the installation of the CCTV camera is possible?
Okay. Hassan Abdullahi, we will take about 2-3 more questions, then we'll have the panelists answer them. So you could be taking note. I'll try and remind you as well. Second question, please. Yes, the lady in blue.
My name is Jeptonelli, a student, Garissa University. I want to bear witness with our VC that the security is now well. We feel secured. But my question still goes to him. Our VC, you've talked of security inside the school, but you find that we, whom we are here, we feel the pain and we are now aware of what happened. Don't you think that it's important for you or for us as Garissa University fraternity to extend the same to the high schools around here? What is your take on that, and what are you going to do to make sure that those students outside their nearest secondary schools get the same, get alert, so that you can improve security in Northeastern? Thank you.
Thank you, Jepto, for your question. Another question? Yes.
Thank you. My question goes to Sir Edward. What is the government and its security agents doing to ensure that unemployed youths are employed so that they don't end up joining terror groups?
What is your name again?
Antonio Mambia.
Okay. One more question before we get the panelists to answer that. Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
your name first.
My name is Nasral Nur Sarbo. Okay, my question go to Sir Edward still. Security is the responsibility for everyone. What is the government and the security personnel doing to ensure that everyone participates in security measures? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nazra. Any question to Bwana Khalif? Okay. It appears whatever you said was pretty satisfactory. so we start with the Vice Chancellor. One question from Hassan Abdullahi with regard to installation of CCTV cameras. Let's start from there.
We have not yet completed the building of the wall. It's just a short, let's say a small area that is not yet complete, where we are going to have another gate. And then we don't have funding now. We are still waiting for funding. I just talked about the budget that's going to come probably in June or in May. So that's why the wall construction has stopped for now. So one, we have done the whole perimeter wall except that small area where we're going to have a gate. And then we have started the watchtowers. You have seen one already is complete. That will be also put up. And then after that, CCTV cameras will come. So we're just waiting for the funding. So once we get funding, then we're going to have all that ready. Otherwise, things are on course.
Okay.
Because you can't do everything 1 year. Because the government has to do things in years. Last year we have done that, so this year we're expecting more money to come.
Okay.
On security, to high schools, I don't know whether that's my mandate, because I only deal with security, your security at Garissa University. And for high schools, I think the county commissioner, the security committee, that should take care of that, as far as I'm concerned. The only thing probably we can do as Garissa University is for you to go there, just like we were doing in the past, to go and talk to them, like we have done, of course, Dr. Rotich and others. We're doing that in the past, so I think we'll continue doing the same. And of course, when you come back in September, most of you will still be going to this high school even to teach. Because now you're in your second year, and of course the other group that's left were doing the same. And since now we have no teachers, I think you will have a better chance of even getting opportunities to get a little money paid to you by the high school principals, like we're doing in the past. So hopefully that's going to be part of your mandate. And then you're going to talk to them and tell them what you expect from them. Okay. Thank you.
Probably, Bwana Khalifa, that's a question you could answer. Coming as a community leader, the security of high schools around, probably close to the university, one student feels that even they should get some attention as far as security is concerned. Do you agree?
Well, they have their own vigilante groups. Nobody, like I told you, it's going to be never again. We have learned our lesson, and there are quite a number of things that have been put in place, even in those high schools. There are certain things that are actually in place in the sense that they have peace clubs, they know what to say, how to identify a stranger, and quite a number of other issues. But that is something that is in place. Perimeter wall, what you call surveillance, watch towers, and all these things. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think we have BOGs, Board of Governors, or a group that is concerned with this. They only need to tell us that we need to actually secure this place, and we'll be doing, as usual, the normal Harambe and make sure these high schools are secure.
Okay, thank you, Bwana Khalif. On the issue of community sensitization, Nazra Noor directed this question to Bwana Edward Mwamburi as part, I'm sure, of the County and Regional Security Council. How much are you doing just beyond the use of force or the use of disciplined forces in using force to try and make sure that they abide by the law, but in terms of sensitizing the community?
Yes, I want to believe everybody is aware about the security setup of the government. Remember, at the lowest level, we have the communities, then we have some form of leadership amongst that community, then we have a presence of government in the form of chiefs, assistant chiefs, and all those. And in terms of the administrators, they do a lot of public barazas, and I want to believe that in those barazas, you have a role to play. You can contribute, and the government on its side will sensitize on you on the current challenges of security and what they need for you to do. But again, quickly, somebody asked here, what is the government doing in order to have youth get employment so that they don't fall on the wrong side of the law? Maybe I'll just say that if you are currently, I'm not an economist, I'm a law enforcer, but I want to believe you're aware of the 4 agendas of the president of this country. Yeah, there are 4 agendas, and those ones are supposed to be the quick wins. So if the government is going to achieve as much, then automatically the economy will grow, then at least this level of unemployment that exists will radically go down. So be assured that the government is doing a lot. But on the side of the security agencies, that's why we have agreed to adopt the soft approach as well as backed up by the hard approach. So we want to encourage the youth and parents, yeah, to make sure that they are aware of what their youth are doing at any given time. Then those ones who are at school, just like my friend here has said, you need to be in those groups so that you can be having those discussions and you'll be enlightened on what to do in case you have an intruder in any institution, so that you can easily communicate with the security agencies or any form of leadership, because at the end of it, the security officers will end up to get that information. So you have, you have your role to play in it. And there's a lady who asked about how do we make everybody participate? Actually, that is the way you can do. If you see anything being done wrongly, be it either by even the security agencies themselves, please be very fast to communicate. Remember, the National Police Service now has an internal affairs unit. That is an independent arm that, you know, checks on the excesses by the police. Then we have the IPOA. So be assured that all these are done for the purposes of enabling wananchi to go about their businesses without feeling constrained.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bwana Khalif, you look like you wanted to add something to that. What Bwana Mambure just said.
Yeah. Actually, we're trying to create, as a community, there are football clubs, sports brings people together. We are looking for interactions. Normally, we invite them to our workshops so that we can ask them. We ask them questions like the county commissioner, he was with us in Almond the other day, and it's an open discussion. That interaction actually brings people closer, and we'll be able to work from one position.
What about that expectation that the national government should do something? Because I think that was a question Antonio Omambia asked. There seems to be a general feeling that the national government should do more towards ensuring that the youth in Garissa are not radicalized. Is that the feeling? Is that the general feeling by the community?
Well, they're doing. The provincial administration has been, even last week we had a workshop right here, Vice Chancellor, am I right?
Yeah.
We were talking about violent extremism. People came from Wajir, Mandera, and all the county commissioners were actually paneled here, and questions were being shot. What are you doing about it? Are you the ones? Actually, lots of questions here. And we had the whole of Wajir and Mandera here. There were representatives from those places, the county commissioners, all the force commanders were here. Bona, can you remember? That's about a week ago. This is what we discussed, and that's the direction government wants to go. We want to be discussing these things throughout this place so that people have actually access to the security officers, and a lot of friendship is developed. So the national government is doing that through the regional commissioner.
Okay. Vice Chancellor, of course, the issue of radicalization into violent extremism is not just in Garissa alone. We've had cases where people even come from other universities within Kenya. Do you think that probably even universities are a good breeding ground? Because these are not unemployed people. These are students going, hoping to get a degree to actually pursue different careers. Do you think that it's beyond unemployment when it comes to university level?
I think you are right, because of late we have seen, and you have read the papers, that universities have had students disappearing, students joining Al-Shabaab, students making bombs in the university. It happened in, I don't want to mention the university, but in a number of universities, it happened. But what are we doing different in Garissa? What we are doing here is that we are carrying out roll call every day. Every lecturer, whenever he or she is in class, has to carry out roll call. And at the end of the day, we make sure that we tally the students who are there and who are absent. And of course, somebody is absent more than a week. We make sure that we look for that student and find out where is that student. Is he a student? Is he still here? Has he or she withdrawn? Once we are doing at least all we know where these students are. Because without that, then we are going to have a problem again. So we are really serious about that. That's what we're doing in the last 2 years.
Okay. Let's take a few more questions from the audience. And remember the format. You say your name, you say who you're directing your question to, and then shoot the question. Yes?
I'm Ralia Ahmed, Vice Chairperson. And my question goes to Mr. Warfa. Now that we have restored peace and security in Garissa University, how do we go about convince students to join here after we've told them? And we've also marketed the school and they still don't come.
Okay. Thank you for your question, Ralia. I'll respond. I'll try and update you on it. Yes, one more question.
My name is Marcelino Mchuku. My question goes to Bwana Mwamburi. Peoples in Wajir and other parts of northeastern region who are aspiring for their next stage in their education find their dreams are probably shattered. What are the strategies that will be used to stop the attacks, especially on the schools, and protect their right to education on those children? And my other question goes to the civil society guy. Apart from having discussions or having those summits and workshops, what are the strategies that have been put down on the ground to make sure that the civil society and the community have played the role in protecting the schools, especially the learning institutions, from violent extremism? Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelino. One more question? We'll take a couple more. Let's start with the lady first, then we'll come to the gentleman.
My name is Saumu Zuma, a student Garissa University. My question goes to Mr. Mamburi. In this northern region, the learning in public schools has been affected adversely because since the attack and recently there is the killings of the teachers. Now teachers have that fear and they can't come to this region to teach, and schools, it's like there's no teachers to teach. So you, as the security officer in this northern region, what are the strategies or means that you have kept to keep learning processes continue?
Thank you for your question, Saumu. There's a gentleman who wanted to ask, yes?
Yes, thank you. My name is Brian Mudama. I'm a student leader. My question goes to Maburi and then some part of it to VC Bwana. So the first question is, we have, as we all know, that technology is moving and is growing very fast. So what if now, for the purpose of the use of guns and the other things, we can say we are secure according to the measures that the university has taken and the government. So what if the Al-Shabaab or the other groups, they may decide to use something like chemical weapons, whereby they can come to our catering department, they put something in the food, which of course will end up destroying us, and they will achieve their goal even though they will not have used the weapons. So to the Mwamburi, what is your department doing to make sure that there's no such of chemical weapons that can rotate in this institution? And then Professor Warfa, what is the catering department doing to cater for the same? Thank you.
Thank you, Brian Muthuma, for that question. Let's start with Marcelino Mutuku's question on attacks on schools. Bwana Mamburi, this one was directed to you, that it appears that schools have become soft targets for terror attacks. Are there any specific special strategies to try and protect schools, in particular in this region? And then Bwana Khalif, there's another question for you, but let's start with Bwana Mamburi.
Yes, that was a very good question. I'll just say that the current strategy is purely intelligence-led policing. Remember, the years ago, we used to be reactionary. Something happens, then we chase up to it. But as of now, we have a very robust intelligence service in place, intelligence sharing system in place, so that even now, even with the previous questioner about the security of the other institutions around, you may not be aware, but the other institutions are also being taken care of. It's simply on the basis of what kind of threats that are there. Then we decide on the strength and the number of officers to be deployed in a particular institution. You can remember again that it's not possible, even in the first world, to have a static police presence in every place. It is not possible. But you see, in the intelligence system, it will be much easier. And in intelligence, you have a role. That's why you hear of usalama unaanza na. So if we can get that one right, I want to believe most of these problems will be minimized.
Okay.
Will be minimized.
And before we leave you, Bwana Mwamburi, there's that question by Saumu Zuma. She's asking about the safety of teachers. Of course, it is a big question. It is a big debate all over the country. The fact that teachers were attacked in Wajir, and what followed, we saw that mass transfer of teachers, the argument and the push for teachers who are non-locals not to teach in certain regions. How are you handling it as a security apparatus in this region?
Yes. In fact, that has had a bigger ramification in the way that we do our things, simply because that's an impact. The loss of those two teachers have actually brought about a chain link reaction with the other teachers withdrawing. But I know Kenyans are resilient. So it's a matter of time. What I can say here in terms of such incidences being minimized is again to be having participation of all the communities, because those that did that act in Kwarsa, Wajir County, were actually young men from within that community. We have their names and everything else. So we are doing our most that we can do. But again, I'm only enlisting your participation and Kenyans at large, that we need to be sharing this information as fast as possible so that something can be done maybe before any damage is caused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bwana Mwamburi. Bwana Khalif, there was a question directed to you, and this is by Marcelino Mutuku. He feels that you and the NGOs are doing a lot of talking, holding workshops and answering questions. But what are the specific strategies beyond the talk are you taking at community level to ensure that some of these problems are tackled?
Thank you very much, Fred. Strategy, strategy, strategy. Well, we have several levels of peace groups. We have Nyumba Kumi, we have Neighborhood Watch, and then we have the community police. These are the people we train. My friend, within a radius of 10 houses, we know who is there, whose son is missing, and this is a strategy we were using. Actually, we divided Garissa into 32 villages. Nasteh here will bear witness during, Nasteh, am I right? Yes, Nasteh is actually one of the guys who was doing, yes, youth can. We actually picked the youth from those places. We did a lot of strategy. We engaged them. And they had their own parliament where they could discuss a lot of things. As civil society, we go out of our way, go to these villages, identify students, and know who is where at any one time. That is a strategy we use to make sure youth are engaged as far as we are concerned as members of the civil society. And we also train the Nyumba Kumi guys, the Neighborhood Watch, and the community policy to be able, it's a strategy we're using to make sure that the youth are actually occupied.
Yes. Marcelino, you're comfortable with that question? It's been answered. Okay, let's come to the Vice Chancellor. And there was a question here by Ralia Ahmed. And she's concerned that because of the attack, because of what happened, Garissa University has become less attractive. And you mentioned it, you alluded to the fact that now it's harder to attract students and even members of faculty to come and work here. But are you just sitting and saying, okay, fine, that's a situation where, well, ilikuwa shida kama hiyo, hakuna kitu tutafanya, but are you becoming proactive in trying to encourage people to come and join Garissa University?
Thank you. I think we have been doing a lot of marketing, and that's why we have attracted so many students. Before the attack, we had 750 students, and now we have 1,193 students. That's a great improvement. And of course, we are going to do more. Even you yourself, you are ambassadors, because for you to tell students to come to Garissa University and tell them why you are here. So through your effort, then students will come to Garissa University.
Okay. One more question. Let's go back to Bwana Mwamburi, and this is a question by Brian Mudhama on the use of other forms of weaponry away from the guns and the arms. I talked about chemical weapons, and we'll come to the issue of catering as well. But let's start. Are there strategies to counter use of chemical weapons in terrorism? I know it is not common in this region, but are we thinking about it? Or are we going to wait until it happens, an attack happens of that nature, then we respond?
Yes, there's a small unit which is at its infancy, because again, I had talked of intelligence-led policing. Currently, those threats are not so much. They're not so much. But of course, we have units, and I can authoritatively speak on the KDF. They have a complete unit which is there and functional. On our part as security, as police officers, we have ours, but a small one. But remember, we have a National Disaster Management Unit and NDOC. Those ones can be able very fast to coordinate on that aspect and be able to react to that. But at the current level, those threats are not very high. Mm-hmm. They're not high. They're not high.
Because it appears Brian Mudhama is concerned that the catering department could be used to actually as a route for attacking the students using some of those chemical weapons. Is there any special thing the university is doing? Yes, the gate is properly manned, but some of these things? Do we have anything to ensure that it doesn't happen?
That question is very sensitive. And of course, we cannot discuss on national TV. But I just want to tell him and assure everybody here that management had discussed that last year. And then the council, not this council, but the other council, met the county commissioner last year and members from the NSIS, and we discussed a lot of those issues. And I will not want to discuss that here right now, but the students, leaders can come and probably can tell them what we did. But I don't want to talk about that here, please.
But there's something being done?
Yes.
Okay. Rest assured something is being done. Yes, we still have some time to take one or two more questions. Yes? Let's start here, then we come to you.
My name is Justin Mwangi.
Please raise your voice.
My name is Justin Mwangi, a student here at Garissa University. And my question goes to the Bona Harifa. And I want to know, what are you doing to make the local community aware that it is also their duty to promote security in the university, because some of them may be approached to take part in attacks?
Okay, that question to Bona Khalif, and one more from the gentleman in the blue suit.
Thank you so much. My name's Khalif Salah Rage, a student of Garissa University. So I have three questions. One will go to our learned and esteemed Professor Ahmed Warfa. One will go to my nemesis Khalif, and the other one, Regional Coordinator Mwamburi. The question I want to pose to Professor Warfa is that due to our resilience and determination as a Garissa University, we have moved on and we have forgotten the ordeal that happened in our university. But now, as a VC of this great university, don't you do that? We are supposed to do away with the anniversaries that we normally do here. That brings bad memories to the parent, to the whole nation. My question, the other question I want to ask Mwamburi, is that you appeal to the Kenyans that we are supposed to share vital information about the security of the country. But now, as an officer, what strategy do you have that your officers will act upon the information we are going to share with you? Because the last year, 2015 attack, there were reports that the information was shared with your officers, but due to the perpetual dereliction of duties, they were ignored, and the unfortunate incident happened. So what strategy do you have to ensure that those intels shared by the communities are acted upon to avert any immediate threat?
Okay.
Question to Khalif. Now, if we share the information, are you ready to protect us? Thank you.
Thank you, Khalif, for your questions, and Justin Mwangi as well. Let's start with a question by Bona Justin Mwangi. It was directed at Bona Mwamburi, the county government. Did I get your question right? How much is the county government doing, or the county administration doing, to try and sensitize the community around that they too play a role in security of the university? We could start with Bwana Mwamburi, but I believe it's a question that Bwana Khalif should answer as well.
Yes, I think it is the same question that was answered previously. And if everybody was hearing well, is that there are several levels, and everybody can fit at each level, starting from, if you're a student here, you be in a group that discusses on the challenges that faces these institutions. Those ones which bear on issues security, they are handled as such, and the same is brought upwards. Therefore, and with the community, I think my friend here will be able to respond, because the police also are tapping on what they are able to do, so that our tentacles also can have a feel of what is happening on the ground.
Bwana Khalif, from there.
The community is vigilant. If anybody has suffered in all this mess, it's the community. Actually, the high-handedness, you know, kids were lost, we lost business, we got stigmatized. There was even this perception where fellow Kenyans were looking at you as a Somali or a Muslim and telling you, hey, maybe this guy is a terrorist or a sympathizer. You know, you can imagine what we underwent psychologically for quite a long time. So that itself was able to bring us out. This market here was vibrant. We were getting 100 million every Wednesday. This was the safest place in eastern and northeastern province. Suddenly everything went dead. The teachers were going. So we have a duty. We have learned our lesson, like I told you. We have moved on, but we are more vigilant now and ready to participate in anything. This is why we do a lot of advocacy and are going out of our way to make sure that it never happens again.
Okay, Bwana Mwamburi, you're required to answer a question by Bwana Khalif on sharing of information, intelligence information, yes, and the accusation that the police and the security agencies, yes, they do get this information from the public, but sometimes they just don't act on it.
I think I had said earlier that terrorism, you see, is a new phenomenon. And by that time, I want to believe also the challenges were immense on the side of the police on how to react to such threats. If you can recollect, for those who have followed up what happened in this institution, you'll also realize even the security officers who came in the first instance could not be able to manage that situation. So we've done a lot of training, and we have enlisted experts. Even as we are talking now, then the security agencies, the various fighting units which are within reach within this county, and I will not mention, they are now able to respond very fast to those. Remember, even on how to deal with the terrorism. Terrorism is not a normal crime, by the way. It is not a normal crime. So fighting units are in place. They'll be able to move in when that level of threat comes to such a situation that perhaps the local police officers may not be able to neutralize that threat. So rest assured that any report that will be given to the police as of now, because we have officers who are in camps who can be able to move out and they'll be able to respond to that threat.
And just to help him a little bit, heads have begun rolling. The entire district security committee was swept. The provincial security committee was swept by an act of omission. So if anybody sleeps, if you go and take information to him and they don't act, my friend, you are the one who is going to pay back. You will be shown the door and your head will begin rolling. So everybody is alert. You need to protect your job, and in order to protect your job, you need to act. This is a lesson that was taught to everybody. That's why even at midnight, these guys are on their toes. You see a vehicle. When you go out of this place at night, you will find a police vehicle running around to and fro. Those things never used to be in place.
Interesting. Finally, Vice Chancellor Khalif feels that probably it's time to do away with the anniversaries. Do you agree?
Well, you see, I think I have a scar more than anybody else because of what I felt that day and what happened. And every time, you know, people talk about it, it pains me. And I always say that nobody should face what I faced that day, because it has been a very long day. You know, I was calling it, that day I said it was darkest at noon, to paraphrase Hungarian English writer Arthur Koisler. It was darkest at noon for us. And then we spent there, when the rest of the country was enjoying Easter, we spent under a tree for 8 days with the former county commissioner, Mr. Kianda, collecting bodies with the Red Cross. In fact, they were there with the Dean of Students and other workers, of course. That's, you know, a very painful day. And of course, I want to forget, but I can't forget, because every time things happen, it always Garissa University, what happened, you know, people ask those questions. And even at night, sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, just trying to, you know, have a flashback of what happened that morning, because I was sitting just like I'm sitting right now when I had the first bullet from the gate. And I called the only security guys we had, Hassan and Mutai, who were here at the clinic. I asked Hassan, have you had the bullets? These people have come. They are coming from the gate. Hassan said, no, it's the field. The field is just this side. And I told him, Hassan, I'm in the house, but I can hear it is the gate. Can you guys get ready? At least they were able to try and make sure that they deflect them from Tana House. But they went to Wasonyiro, which the infamous Elgon. So that is, you know, something that we want to forget. But what do we do? Because at least we have to pray for those students who passed on. And of course, pray for the parents. I'm a parent. I have kids that age who are in university. They're still in university. And anybody, you know, who has kids, they will not be able to forget those kids.
Okay.
And of course, you remember, those kids were from very poor families. Some of them sold their land to come here to learn. Some of them had no place to be buried. You know, all those memories come back to me all the time. So, I don't know. If you want us to forget, it's for the students to decide, not for me. So it's Garissa University's management. It's for you to decide. But for me, even if I leave Garissa University, that's going to follow me. And I say it's going to be a kind of history.
Okay.
It's going to be there for the rest of my life.
It is not an incident that can be forgotten. It probably should not be forgotten. It was an experience 3 years ago, 3 years, 8 days to be exact, when terrorists struck the University of Garissa. And at the end of that day, 148 people, mainly students from this university, lay dead on these grounds. 79 others were injured. It is not something that any of us can or should forget. Hence the conversations. From the pain, shock, and devastation of that day, the conversations now have moved to hope, new beginnings, and restoration. That is a talk that we will continue with, and that's a discussion we've had this entire session. Thank you so much, Professor Ahmed Osman Warfa, the Vice Chancellor of Garissa University, Bwana Mohammed Khalif, peace building, conflict expert, chairperson of the Garissa Civil Society Network, also a community leader here. And I'll give you an opportunity for that, Bwana Vice Chancellor. And also Bwana Edward Mwamburi, Regional Police Commander, Northeastern Region. Just before we finish, the Vice Chancellor has requested to say one more thing. We'll give you that opportunity. Go ahead.
And I would like to thank Garissa University community, students who have been able to come, students who have been able to be in Garissa University to study, and that resilience that we have built within the years, the last 2 years, that has been very useful to us. Secondly, for the lecturers, those who have witnessed, who were here that day, most of them have come back. We only had 2 lecturers leaving. All the others are here out of 31 lecturers. All the others came back. That is very, very good response, and I'm sure you guys are ready. You are also saying that never again, we're not going to succumb to terrorism. We'll be able to teach in Garissa University all the time, and we are ready to teach, and we will do all our best. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bwana Vice Chancellor. Applause for the Vice Chancellor. Bwana Khalif, final comments?
Well, mine is just patriotism. We have a small country and a very beautiful country. Everybody. The first question I'm told they ask in Europe or America is, have you ever visited Kenya? That is how this country is loved. We must be prepared and go out of our way to protect this country. Very beautiful sand, beautiful beaches, very nice hospitality, 5-star hotels, very good wildlife. Where do you get that kind of a country? So we must be prepared to protect this country at all costs.
Okay.
That is my parting shot.
Applause for Bwana Khalif. Then Bwana Edward Mwamburi, Regional Police Commander.
Yes, we also in the National Police Service, we are also saying never again. As we say never again, we are saying all those bad memories, the negativities that we may be having on the security agencies, be assured that things are now different, things are being done differently. Whenever you raise an alarm, whenever you say that there's this and that is happening around the corner, be assured that the police officers will be there to respond. We have no reason at all as to why we cannot respond to any distress call from any mwananchi as of now. We have enough vehicles, the vehicles have fuel, and we have the number of officers available to respond. So be assured that the police are here to serve you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we wrap it up this evening. On behalf of Citizen TV, Royal Media Services, the entire crew that has made this broadcast possible right here in Garissa and back at the Communications Center in Nairobi, we'd like to thank the university, the Garissa University community for helping us have this conversation, providing this space and being part of the conversation. Clap for yourselves, the great students of the Garissa University. To the school's administration, thank you so much. To the community, Bwana Khalifa. To the security operators led by Bwana Wamburi, thank you so much for this. We also like to give a special mention to the Kenya Ni Wajibu Wetu program, which is funded by the USAID, for making this discussion possible. My name is Fred Indimuli, saying good night.